my world that I want to have a little pride in. My world, and it's not a place I have to hide in. Life's not worth a damn till you can say I am what I am.
Touch this face hard. This sounds cool. Okay, thank you. Thank you guys so much for inviting me here. I am Pierre Crouch. I'm a nurse practitioner, which I learned yesterday you guys call prescribing nurses, I think, which sounds interesting. I'm Director of Nursing at Magnet, we're a sexual health clinic in Castro. And I'm here to talk to you about one of my biggest passions is sexual health and access to healthcare and how to make it easy, because you can make it easy if you want to and choose to. We will talk about that. First, I do have a disclosure. Our organization does get money through a grant from Gilead. I don't personally get anything from them, but because I do fund some of our programs, we like to be open and honest about these things. I was tasked with covering a lot today, so a little bit ambitious. I want to talk a little bit about the sex-positive care that we provide at Magnet and talk about what does that mean. Also, just hint on very briefly about what PrEP is so that we're all on the same page, and a little bit about PrEP on demand, or as we call it, PrEP 2-on-1 in San Francisco. And then I walk through our clinic and what we do, how we provide care, and what actually a PrEP visit actually looks like, and we'll go from there. So my first question I actually have for you guys. What does it mean to provide sex-positive care? When I say that, what pops in your brain? So I think at Magnet, we actually embody a lot of sex-positive care, and a lot of that came from the horrible messages we came out in the 80s with HIV. And we taught people to fear HIV, and that's what the messages were. Like, you're going to suck one dick, you're going to get HIV, and you're going to die. And that's what we grew up with, right? But in reality, what ended up happening is people ended up fearing people who were living with HIV and not fearing the virus itself. And that type of messaging is poor, so don't ever do that. At Magnet, we embrace more of a client-centered approach. We're all about embracing who you are and figuring out a plan that works for you. We use words that you use, so if you come in my clinic and you say the word fuck, I use the word fuck with you. So we use languages that you communicate with. We're not going to talk about fornication or anything else like that. So, and we provide no judgments. I don't care if this is like the 5th time you've had chlamydia in a month, although that can't happen. I don't know if that's technically so. But like, we're here to take care of you and find out what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and have you lead the life that you choose safely, and make sure that you're aware of all the tools that are out there to take care of yourself. I'm not there to tell you what I think your sex life should be. I'm there to actually support and you make your own decisions. One of the things that I see when if you don't do this is people will just end up lying. I've lied to my provider. I don't know who else here has ever lied to their provider, trying to be a little more innocent about things. And so if you create an atmosphere where you can actually be open and honest, you can really engage with the client and have a meaningful conversation and provide them the tools and resources for them to take care of themselves. So we provide no judgments. This is one of our little popular ads that kind of embodies a lot of that. We love cum pigs, we love everybody. And so when you come and see us, it doesn't matter how many sex partners you had or anything else like that. We're just there to take care of you and help empower you to make decisions for yourself. So a little bit about what PrEP is. Who can tell me what PrEP is down there? How well do people know in Ireland? Are Irish people?
Yes. Pre-exposure prophylaxis.
Yeah, and what does it do?
Well, I take it as well personally, but it's a pill you would take every day or however you choose, so that you don't get the virus or you don't contract HIV.
Okay. So PrEP, it's a medication called Truvada. It's been around for a number of years, and this is one of the things that people always say, like, oh, what about the long-term side effects? I'm like, we've known about this drug for many, many years, and people who are living with HIV have been taking it safely. And when you're HIV positive, you have a lot more side effects that you have to be mindful of. And so it works well in that community. But it's a medication called Truvada, and it's part of an HIV regimen. And so someone who's HIV positive would take this regimen on the right, might be one extra pill that they would take. And it does an amazing job at preventing HIV when you take it every day. So my question to you is, how well does this work? How well does PrEP work?
Whether it works or it doesn't work.
All right, but how well?
Nearly perfectly.
If you take it every day and you never miss a dose and you get gangbanged every Saturday, how well? If you're lucky. How well does that work?
90 something.
90, 99.
It's in the, I've heard 90, between 96 and 99, I'm not sure.
Yeah, we use 99%. What we've seen in literature, and since PrEP's been launched worldwide, there are only 2 people who have ever gotten infected with HIV who had the drug in their system and were doing everything correctly. There were a couple of other cases that happened where there was some blanks, though, if they were actually on the medication at the time. We're not quite sure. But if you take it every day, it's up to 99% effective at protecting you. What that's important is people are going to go onto Google and they're going to like find out about all the research, and they're going to see crazy numbers. And this is what I want to make sure that people understand when they go and they Google it. There are 2 different concepts that you'll have in research. There's efficacy and effectiveness. So efficacy is how well a pill works if you take it. So I know you're taking this pill, how well does it work? For PrEP, we know it's 99% because there's 2 people who failed. There are hundreds of thousands of people worldwide taking this drug, and that's 2 out of all that. So it does a damn good job. Effectiveness is how well a strategy works when I offer it to you. So to put into context, the very first study that came out called iPrex, they took, to simplify it, if you took 10 people and gave them PrEP and said, go out and be married, right? 6 of them are not going to take the pill. 4 of them will take the pill. 4 of them will be protected and not get HIV. 6 of them will not be protected and they'll get infected. That has an effectiveness around 40%. That is a terrifying number if you actually hear it that way, right? You're like, does it only reduce by 40%? Like, no, it does a lot more. So as a strategy, PrEP can be very difficult, and that's one of the challenges you'll see in delivering PrEP. It's not so much does the pill work, it's how do you help people stay on the pill, take it, and adhere to it, and take care of themselves. So those are those 2 different concepts I want you to be aware of. Now, everyone's always freaked out about side effects and everything else like that, and everything has side effects. I always like to point out fried chicken has side effects. I love Popeye's chicken. Popeye's idea? No, it's not. It's good stuff. So it's fried chicken. I eat it, eat too much of it, you get nauseous. I eat it all the day, every day. I'm going to get like heart disease. So everything has side effects. PrEP is not excluded from that. About 1 in 10 people, folks who take it, get some nausea and some stomach upset with it. It tends to be mild. Goes away after a couple of weeks. LSA postfolks deal with this all the time, and this is much milder than that. About 1 in 200 folks will get kidney issues when they take this drug. We tend not to see this in people under the age of 40. We very rarely see it in our clinic. It tends to be people who are older, who have a lot of other illnesses, who are diabetics and have all sorts of other issues. But even if you happen to have kidney issues, you can stop the drug safely, and you can even restart it. It's not something that causes you, like your kidneys to like blow up and disappear. And then if you measure the density of your bones the day before you start PrEP, and then measure the density of your bones about a year or so afterwards, you'll get a one-time 1% loss of your bone density, which freaks people out. But tons of stuff causes this, and like, you know, Prilosec here, you know, it's an over-the-counter stomach medication that people take, and that causes people to have bone loss. Birth control causes more bone loss than PrEP, but do people freak out about bone loss when you talk about birth control? They don't. This does not cause you to have any problems. You won't have any broken bones. You're not going to like shatter everywhere. It's just one of these clinical findings that doesn't actually impact your care, but if you Google it, it is a real thing that's actually out there. PrEP generally is approved in the US, at least for taking it every day. And so one of the questions that kind of came up is, do you really need to take it every day? And sort of this concept of this PrEP on demand or PrEP 201 came out. Is that officially approved in Ireland, or do they sanction it? Sort of on demand PrEP?
Yeah, it's in the guidelines.
It's in the guidelines?
Yeah.
So it's not in the US guidelines, but it's a common thing in Europe. Canada also approves it, UK and France, they do it. So this is actually based on some couple studies that were out there, notably the Efficacy study, and I'm going to go through what it actually means to take this as an on-demand or 2-in-1. There's getting to be enough data about taking it this way to be equal to the amount of data that they had when PrEP first came out. So that was one of the main criticisms about doing this on-demand trial, was that there wasn't enough data, but we're kind of getting to that point where we can actually say this really does work. Now, the reason why we call it 2-in-1 is that people are terrible about taking pills. They really are. And so one of the things that we were trying to do is if we put in the messaging of how we name it, how you actually take it, you know, would people be more likely to remember how to do it? So the way this works is you need to be a good planner, so you have to know when you're actually going to have sex. So in this example here, it's Wednesday at 6 o'clock. This person's going to take 2 pills. That's where the 2 pills comes from. You need to take these pills 2 hours to 24 hours before you're going to have sex. So you need to know it's coming. Right? So some people don't. I was surprised by that. I'm like, I don't know, I'm too old for that. It's like 30-minute notice. So if you take it at 6 o'clock in this example on Wednesday, starting at 8 o'clock, you can have all the sex you want from 8 o'clock all the way up until 6 o'clock the next day when you were supposed to take your next dose, right? Then you'll take your dose at 6 o'clock and then 1 more dose the next day. So that's 4 doses for 1 sexual exposure, so which is pretty nifty. But now, if you're actually going off for a week-long excursion, where do people in Ireland go? What's the Palm Springs of Ireland?
Lucy and Bernard.
Where? Okay.
Boiler house.
My apartment.
For a whole week, so Tom locks you up for a whole week in his apartment. So you can actually use this for extended periods of time. You can actually take your 2 doses like you did before, so in this case it's Friday at 8 o'clock, he takes 2 doses. Then starting at 10 o'clock that night, you can have all the sex that you want. And you start taking this pill every day at 8 o'clock, like you normally would. And then once you finally stop having sex, you take 1 dose after you stop having sex, and then 1 more at the end of the day, the next day. So the idea is that you'll take 1 pill, and then once you stop having sex, 1 pill and 1 pill. One of the errors a lot of people end up making is that as long as you actually had sex before that first after-sex dose is due, you don't have to take it again. You know, so oftentimes people will take like a 3rd dose because they think you're supposed to take it for 2 days after you had sex. It's actually, as long as that sex happened before that post-dose was supposed to occur, you're all good to go with that. Now, this all sounds like fine and dandy and all great because they're like, why wouldn't I do this? But there's a couple limitations. So it's only for anal sex. It does not work for vaginal front hole sex at all. The vagina tissue does not take up Truvada very easily. It's a lot more sensitive to missing doses, and you have to take it for a longer period of time to build it up in that area. But your butt loves it. Your butt just sucks it up. So it's all good. So if you are a cis woman or anyone who's actually enjoying anal sex, you can do this. But if you have a vagina or front hole, you can't do this. It won't work. You'll have to stay on the daily dosing regimen. It's best for people who are having sex less than 3 times a month. Because if you're taking it every week, you might as well be on a daily dose. This dosing strategy is not very forgiving. When you're taking PrEP every day, it is very forgiving, and you can miss a dose when you're on daily PrEP, and it's not a big deal. But with this, if you miss doses, it ends up being a big deal. And this is great for people who will tell you, I don't want to go on PrEP because I don't have sex enough. But when they do, they're going to Ibiza and having these great gangbangs, and I'm like, oh, don't do that. Let's get you on PrEP. And so this is a great additional tool that's out there to help support people to get on PrEP who might not have gone on PrEP in the first place. Let's see, we're talking about 2 hours notice. Those follow-up doses are the ones that people forget the most. People are good about taking those first 2, but then the follow-up ones they forget. But if you have anyone who's doing this and there's any mistakes or any errors, you take 2 pills right away and then you call your clinician to help sort it out. So it's very easy to make mistakes with this, and the people in the studies did. So this is really only for the right person who's very engaged in your care and they're good at taking pills. But if you miss them, take 2 pills, go on PrEP. That's usually what our recommendation is. The other thing, people will be like, oh, PrEP is toxic, I'm going to do this because it's going to limit my exposures to this toxic medication. It's actually not true. You have the same side effects as if you were taking it every day. So you would not do this in order to limit your exposure to the drug. It's actually not going to change anything for you. And PrEP is a very important part of everything that we do. In the city of San Francisco, we have this Getting to Zero initiative. Do y'all have one here in Ireland? Y'all have a... Oh, y'all need to go do one right after this meeting. Write that down on the to-do list out there. So Getting to Zero is an initiative that many cities actually have, and it's what is your plan to get rid of HIV and get down to 0 in your community? And for us, PrEP plays a big role with that. There are 4 main signature initiatives that we have in San Francisco that we're working on. It's sort of a rapid program for newly infected people that can start medications on it right away. So if you come into my clinic and you test positive, you walk out an hour later with pills in hand in order to get you undetectable as quickly as possible at that moment. It's a great opportunity for you to start engaging in your care too as well, instead of leaving the clinic with all these unknowns of what will happen to me? probably the hardest thing is sort of this client-centered linkage and re-engagement to care. In San Francisco, our biggest challenge is not finding people who are undiagnosed. I think only 4% of people in San Francisco are walking around not knowing their diagnosis. It's helping people who are known to be HIV positive who have fallen out of care. And it is very difficult for people who are having challenges, who are facing income inequalities and racism, all sorts of other things, to focus on their health care. And so oftentimes they disengage and they stop taking their pills and they don't take care of themselves. And we know we don't want that, because we know if you're HIV positive and you're on meds and you stay in care, your life expectancy is the same as if you were HIV negative. So this doesn't have to have a big impact on your life as long as you stay in care. So we want to make sure that people do that. The other big hard one, and it's probably near impossible, is this whole ending HIV stigma, right? There's a work group on it, so it's a challenging thing to do. I don't think there's a very easy answer with this to help change people's attitudes. I think you just need time and a lot of these empowering messages like you equals you, changing your marketing to not make it fear-based, and also end the stigmas between the two. This is a little side note. One of the little things I love about PrEP and what you equals you. I have a little serodifferent couple where one was positive and the other was negative, and I was just talking to the negative partner, and he's like, "Oh, I take a pill every day, and I'm on PrEP, and I take care of myself, and I'm good." And then my partner takes one pill every day, and he takes care of himself, and he's good. HIV doesn't mean anything in our relationship anymore, and I just love that. I just love that, like, you can love who you want and not be limited by this infection. So, all pretty cool. And then the big one here, citywide coordinated PrEP initiative, and it's one that we're proudly part of, is getting PrEP out to people in a number of different ways. We do a couple different events with the city. There's training for providers, and so these include me going and talking. I teach school nursing how to do PrEP. We also have people who will go knock on providers' doors and tell them, like, "Hey, have you heard about PrEP? This is how you do it for your clients," and basically one-on-one outreach to the healthcare providers in the city. And then also very important is the community outreach. We do a couple different ways. We have a citywide network of benefits navigators, which we'll talk about. The insurance system in the US is a mess, and it's hard to navigate and figure out what you're doing with it. And so there are people who will help you do that. But if you're in a private practice, do they have private practices here? Okay, so yeah. So you're in a little private practice all by yourself, you have someone coming and asking for PrEP, it's great, but you might not know how to actually do it and deal with the insurance companies, and you can just have this outside support. They'll just take care of that for you, so you don't have to worry about that as a provider. And then the other important one is PrEP Ambassador Program. And what this is finding people from different communities and your different priority communities and helping them and training them so that they can actually provide support to that community. So in San Francisco, we have a huge disparity with young African American men and HIV rates. Me as a 42-year-old white guy cannot go out there and just say, "Hey, do this PrEP thing, it's great." I'm not part of that community. It's not like, there's a bit of trust that you need to build up. But what we would do is we try and find people from that community who have a voice and help them find that voice so they can advocate for their own community. You can do lots of simple things like, training people how to do phlebotomy is a great skill to have. And so in our clinic, we find people who are underrepresented in the healthcare system, training how to at least do phlebotomy, and that's simple for our clinic to do because you're not going to med school or anything, right? And so you can help them and then have them be part of this fight so that they can actually support their own community whichever way that you can. This was one of the ads that they did, it was 2 years ago. It's our sexual revolution. And what I love about it, it's sex positive. It's not about you're going to get HIV and die. It's people having fun and having a good time. So, and so my organization overall is the San Francisco AIDS Foundation. We have multiple sites where we provide care. We have a main office in downtown San Francisco. That's where most of our administrative offices are housed. We have some limited programming there, a lot of community engagement programming, and we have a small PrEP clinic that we do there for people who are not comfortable going to our larger site. We also have a syringe access center where people can come in and get clean needles. Do y'all have that here? Yeah. So access to clean needles. And here, there's support groups as well. We just started doing a HepC treatment program, which I'm very proud of, providing care at the site where people are comfortable going to and accessing care. But my main baby is this place called STRUP. It's a Center for Health and Wellness. And it has our priority communities are mostly gay, bi, trans, masculine, queer men, sort of the masculine spectrum of things. We take care of anyone who walks in our door. You don't have to be part of that community. We have a lot of heterosexual cis women who just love, coming to our clinic because we don't shame them, and it's something that everyone faces, gay, straight, doesn't matter what, that you have. But all of our events, everything that we do are for these priority communities. And in this place, we have a magnet, which is my baby, which we'll talk about, where we provide sexual health services. There's the Stonewall Project, which does mental health and substance use support. They embrace a full harm reduction strategy, so it's not about quitting. We know that's always a bad thing. People are not always ready to quit. You could say, hey, I use crystal meth and heroin, and I want to stop using heroin so I can keep my job, kind of thing. And that's the goal that you come up with, and that's what you do. And then we have a number of community engagement programs to help support a lot of our priority communities. We have like Dream for young African American men, and they would drop in on Fridays and come in and hang out, and Bridgman, which does volunteer work and stuff like that. So, and one of the other things that makes our clinic unique, we are part of the community. We don't want to be this medical center that you show up to, get care, and then leave and never think about it again. We want to be the place that you think of going to on a Friday night. And we do that by bringing the community in to be part of us. We have a lot of volunteer HIV test counselors, and those are just people from our community who we've trained to do HIV testing, and they do the swabs for us, and if you're positive, they make sure that you're actually in care and that kind of stuff. And then we host a number of different community events. We have open mic nights. We have events to celebrate our different priority communities, such as Black Love with all African American Black performers, Trans Voices, which we just had with all trans performers, Donde Está Mi Gente for all of our Spanish-speaking communities. We do monthly art exhibits. The bottom right was one of my favorite ones. It was Drag Queen Tapestries, which is really cool. And we switch it out every month, and the first Friday of the month we have a big art opening, and come in, there's wine and stuff, and we celebrate the space, celebrate the people. There's acupuncture, massage, and we just kind of create this safe space to hang out. We had this young queer kid who was getting bullied at school, and he would just come hang out at our place after school for his mom to pick him up. Now that's fucked up on many reasons, but I just love the fact that at least we were actually providing a safe space for that person to be there. So simple things like that. Now Magnet, we are significant. I like to say that. We turned this little clinic into the largest sexual health clinic in San Francisco. We're also one of the largest PrEP programs in the world. We, in our little group of nurses, have started 3,636 people on PrEP so far, which is crazy. And then the last year, we've done almost 16,000 rapid HIV tests with about almost 20,000 visits, supporting about 8,300 clients. So, and almost about 1 in 4, 20 to 25% of any infection that happens in San Francisco walks through our doors. So we do a lot of care and a lot of support. So the service that we provide, we try and make this one-stop shopping for everything. So we do HIV testing, and we are insanely privileged to have access to pooled RNA testing, which is the most sensitive test you can possibly get, and everyone can get access to that when they come and see us. We can test and treat gonorrhea, chlamydia, and syphilis there on the spot. It's really cool. We're big on anal health. Pretty butts, I love butts, and I love butts that are pretty. So we do work treatments and anal fissures. Little side note, anal fissures, does anyone know what an anal fissure is on there? So one of my little pet peeves is we don't talk about these things. So these are tears that you get in your butt. And so often we have that in the community where people will bottom a little bit rougher, and they'll bleed, they'll get a little cut, and they're too embarrassed to talk about it. There's easy treatments for it. You don't have to suffer with it. So if you have a fissure, go talk to your medical provider and get it taken care of. Or come see us, we'll take care of it. And then take care of a couple little random things that kind of look like sexual health stuff, but like scabies, crabs, and jock itch. Because if you come in on a rash and it turns out not to be syphilis, we don't want to be like, oh, well, it's not syphilis, let's send you to somewhere else. So we try and take care of as many things as we can in that spot. We do full adult vaccinations, flu shots, hepatitis, pertussis, meningitis. I would love to have the HPV vaccine. I don't have it. That's too expensive, but I would love to have it one of these days. And then our PrEP program, which launched in November 2014, we do all the initiation, all the follow-up for you. We also started a HepC health program. So now we're able to offer you treatment as soon as you test positive. So if you come into our clinic and you test HepC positive, we screen you right then and there, and you're popping pills usually 1 or 2 weeks later and getting the cure. There are amazing new treatments out there for HepC. Another little side plug, if you know anyone who has HepC, it's 8 weeks of pills, you take it and it's gone. So amazing new advances for HepC out there. And we've been building up a lot more of our HIV services. So we don't do primary care. But we started a same-day rapid HIV initiation. So if you test positive, you walk out with pills if you want to. It's all up to you. But you walk out with pills. The other thing that we do is helping people who may have lost their medications, or they just moved to San Francisco on their last pill and they're like, I need to find a new provider. We'll bridge your medications. So if you're visiting San Francisco and you're positive, or you're going to PrEP and you lose your medications, just come into our clinic. We'll hook you up so that you can get medications and stay undetectable or stay on your PrEP. And then we're about, hopefully, to do a rapid re-engagement program. So this is for folks who are HIV positive, who have fallen out of care. Our old model is to to hand them over to a healthcare navigator who's going to call them in 2 days and try and get them back into a system that didn't work for them. But I'm like, what if you actually just took care of them right then and there and have them walk out with pills, and they obviously are comfortable coming into our clinic, so just take care of them and then buys you time to figure out what issues they had and then move them on to their new provider. And then I do want to do another little shout out for when you talk about simple little things that can have huge impact when you think, I can't do any of this little stuff. This is a simple medication locker we got for our marginally housed clients, so that they can actually store their medications at night, because you get your stuff stolen every night. And so that way they can keep them stored, they can successfully complete their HepC treatments. We have people who are taking their syphilis meds on there and all those other things. So, so a simple little intervention of just keeping a locker so that people can keep their meds safe. The other cool thing, we're a completely nurse-like clinic. I told you I was going to need more time. So we have no physicians who actually work there. In the state of California, nurses actually can work under expanded scope of practice, so they can do all gonorrhea, chlamydia, syphilis treatments, and all those good things. But we do have the ability to consult with people as needed. You access our services a couple different ways. You can make an online appointment. That's more for routine screening. You can have walk-in services, because most of the stuff when you have sexual health stuff, you wake up in the morning, you realize you have an issue, just come on in and get it done. And then we recently launched this Magnet Express service, where you can come in, come out for, you can get tested. We're open 6 days a week, and we're closed at 8 o'clock on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And if you just need a regular routine screen, you just walk in and you get tested and walk out like 10, 15 minutes later. It's really cool. And then we have a mobile testing unit to actually help reach communities who don't feel comfortable maybe coming to our clinic. So we go out in front of different bars and parties and stuff like that, park the gang out there, and we do full sexual health screenings, gonorrhea, chlamydia, syphilis, HIV, all that good stuff for folks as well. And then I'm going to power through right quick our PrEP enrollment visit, what we do. So this whole thing was designed to minimize your barriers and make it easy for you to access PrEP. It should not be harder than going to go buy milk at your local store. So we do a quick in and out 90-minute visit where we do all your labs, we do testing, you get a PrEP evaluation, and you meet with our benefits navigators. I'm a very big proponent of having your lab in the house where you're actually providing the care, because as soon as you have to send stuff out, people have left the clinic, and if you have to manage them, like how do you get them back? Sometimes they don't always answer their phone and stuff like that. So we do a lot of point of care testing, including metabolic panels, so I can test your kidneys and stuff in 12 minutes. Then you see a nurse practitioner who's going to talk to you about, about PrEP, why you want to go on PrEP, like what does it mean to you to be on PrEP, and develop a sexual health plan that includes PrEP. With that, it may include condoms, might not include condoms, it's kind of up to you, you decide what it is, and we will help you with that. And we do a lot of PrEP counseling and adherence counseling. And then after you're finished with the NP, the insurance system in the US is a mess, so we have a whole team of people that all they do is actually deal with the health insurance companies. Pretty much 99.9% people don't pay a dime for PrEP. Very rarely people actually do. And then all the follow-up's all done by nurses. PrEP can be all-consuming for a healthcare institution, because now you're going to have all these young folks who didn't come in all the time, and now they're here every 3 months. And so task shifting some of the simpler duties over to registered nurses makes a lot of sense for us. And so the nurse is able to evaluate them, make sure that they're all okay, and continue your prescription as well. And that is it. So cool.
My world that I want to have a little pride in. My world, and it's not a place I have to hide in. Life's not worth a damn till you can say